Afternoon, everyone. Today is August 31st, 2020. This is the SIG-Network Ingress NGINX sub-project meeting. This is a community meeting, and that means that we comply with the Code of Conduct of the CNCF, which basically means be excellent with each other. If there are any violations that need to be reported, please let the SIG chairs or me know, or Ricardo. With that, let's go ahead and get started. We have a lot to discuss today. Today's a we got a lot of interesting conversations. So the top three things really are obviously triaging issues. We want to talk about the triaging process itself, some of the issues that we're seeing with the V1 upgrade, and we want to discuss with our NGINX Inc. team the project naming discussions around that. So I think we can go around the room with some of the new folks that are here because it looks like we've got a lot of new joiners, which is great. So if you would like, just introduce yourself, name, company, and what you'd like to help or see accomplished with the project.
Okay, so let me start. Hello, everyone. My name is Rafał. I'm with the OANDA. I'm the guy that reported issue 7483, so I'm here in case you had any questions, want to discuss the issue instead of exchanging emails.
All right, thank you for that. Anyone else want to introduce themselves?
Go
ahead,
okay.
Raj.
Hi, I'll go again. My name is Raj. I'm working for one of the consultancy in UK. I'm here to be part of NGINX community, looking to see if I can support on DevOps or sysadmin activities. Also, probably with learning, I would pick up some of the coding activities, but yeah, that's a long shot.
Yeah, I saw the conversation about the Alpine Debian. So that will definitely be helpful. I know we've been talking about switching over. So thank you for that.
Cheers.
Anyone else?
Yes. Hello, folks. How are you doing? So I'm Saurabh, and I'm an active user of Kubernetes, but recently I've started taking interest in Kubernetes upstream, and I'm looking forward to contribute. So,
well, thank you for being here. Anyone else like to introduce themselves? Alrighty, so go ahead and get started. Should we, what should we discuss first, folks? I know we've got a few of the V1 issue topics on there. And I know I don't know, this will probably be a continuing discussion as well with the project naming confusion that we have between the NGINX Inc. F5 project versus the Ingress NGINX Kubernetes community supported project. And then Carol has been having conversations with me and Noah. Noah's on vacation on what the triage process would look like. So
Mine can wait if Noah's out.
Yours can wait. Yeah, Noah's out. So okay. Brian, you want to tackle that first one, the triage process, or not the triage, the naming discussion. So
I was about to say go for it, James. You can introduce.
So there's been a lot of discussion, and I know we've seen it in issues before where folks will ask questions in the Ingress NGINX Kubernetes supported version. They'll ask issues, and we can just tell by like versioning and the types of questions that they ask that they're asking about NGINX Inc. and not Ingress NGINX. So we've had issues with that. It looks like there's been some discussion on Reddit. I know there's issues in Slack that's come up around the confusion of the naming, and I think officially someone has opened up an issue. That's that first one here. So I just wanted to lay the ground that it does look like from a community perspective, there is confusion around the two projects. I know NGINX Inc. also has a blog post to explain the differences between the three projects because there's also NGINX Plus. So the question was that, we need to start having this discussion both with the NGINX team and the broader community. And I know there's some technical issues if we wanted to rename the project. So just wanted to start dialogue there. Brian, did I miss anything? Is there anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, just to add a little bit to that. So a lot of this actually comes out of search, and the fact that folks are using search to find documentation. They search NGINX Ingress Controller. They get returns for both projects, right? And they're not always paying precise attention to which project, because our project doesn't implement all the annotations that the community project supports, and the community project doesn't support our custom resources that we have on our side. And that's really the nutshell of where we see a lot of folks on both sides actually running into the more problems. I'm not sure that the project names itself, as far as the repo names, are that big of a deal, so much as how we represent the name of the projects out in public and through documentation, and the way that manifests itself through search.
Yeah, I noticed in the even just in the releases, I know that causes issues because we say NGINX Inc. or NGINX Ingress Controller, which we were using the differentiation NGINX Ingress for the NGINX supported version versus Ingress NGINX. So I was doing some Google searches, even looking at Stack Overflow questions. So there are the two tags for questions, and it definitely does cause some issues.
Yeah, and like I say, I don't expect to resolve this today. I mean, we want to be, we as NGINX want to be open about the conversation. We want to make sure that we involve the community here. We don't want to strong arm anything here. We want to come up to something amicable that's potentially low impact on everybody, and everybody involved, and helps resolve the situations for the community moving forward. I don't see either of them going away, and I don't see we just need to help clarify things just to make it easier for folks to consume. So we're looking for the feedback.
Carter, do you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I agree that naming is confusing. Even when I was like a user and we got Ingress NGINX from Kubernetes, and then NGINX Corporation before F5 acquisition published them as well later. So yeah, I don't know if Nabaron is here on behalf of, I don't think so, steering committee, but I think this is something that we should probably discuss with Kubernetes steering committee as well, because probably CNCF or even the Kubernetes community, they may have a good direction, sorry folks, for us as well. So, but I see that this might be, I've seen the thread between you and Brian as well. I just didn't got time to actually proper read and understand the problems, but yeah, this confusion we need to somehow take some action, because it's confusing. It's confusing even for us sometimes, like which naming we should use, if that's NGINX Ingress Controller, Ingress NGINX Controller, etc. Right? So
yeah, we've tried referring to the product name to the project names internally. That doesn't always work. That's not always clear. I know on our side we tend to prepend with the word community quite a bit to make it more apparent. But even that's not always clear to folks on our side either. So yeah,
and this shouldn't. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. There's no way that this isn't the first time this has happened. So I'm sure the steering committee would probably have some helpful guidelines for us. I mean, I even noticed that you guys have an Ingress controller as well, and then you have the NGINX Kubernetes Ingress controller. So that's got to be even confusing just internally as well.
Yeah, it's actually been evolutions of the same product name over time. So that I know that doesn't help. I think that was part. I don't think it helped. I don't think it helped the situation any either, right? I mean, it's just like you could look at the project names and make an argument that the two project names could be inverted, right? So it's like I say, we're out here getting the ideas and getting the opinions thrown out before anybody like knee jerks on anything and makes some kind of rash choices or rash decisions on what to do.
Yeah, okay. I think I can take it on having the discussion with the steering committee and going from there and seeing what our options are to help with the clarification, because like you said, I think search is the biggest problem, the landing zone for people getting help and making sure that we direct them. And as I see questions, I think that's one of the other bigger things is as I see questions, I try to pull the NGINX Inc. team in. So I think there's a lot more that we can do, and just wanted to start the conversation. Anyone else have any questions or comments before we move on? Okay. It looks like Carol, you dropped yours off the agenda.
I moved
since
it
Noah's not here.
for next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, move it for the next one. With that, I guess should we prioritize the V1 issues that we're seeing? I know of the one with kind. I don't know if it's on here on this list. Do we want to start there, Ricardo, with the V1 issues that we're seeing?
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to do, and maybe I would like to hear as well about the debugging that you and Elvin have been doing with the core dump stuff. I saw some movement on the channel, but I didn't follow up.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, we were looking into the issue that was reported about 4 or 5 months ago around the core dumping. We were looking to upgrade the Alpine version, and the mainframe build just kept failing. We didn't get a chance. We worked on that mostly on Saturday. There wasn't a lot of follow up on Sunday, so I've got to find some time to follow up with Alvin. So we got to be really crisp when we go to do our next release to make sure that we're on the upgraded version. I think there was just some issues again with the Docker build, with the mainframe, like we saw, and we didn't get a chance to triage and update it or fix it. So
about the core dump, I've seen Elvin suggesting something about changing the glibc or even downgrading NGINX for version 1.19 because of OpenREST. So did something of that happen?
There
got
was
some result, or
the first change had a bunch of those. So we did the upgrade. We did the upgrade to Alpine. We did the downgrade and the patching for 1.19, and that the CVE that we patched. The reason we upgraded to 1.20. All of those failed, so we rolled it back. When we rolled it back, we just tried the Alpine upgrade. So we haven't rolled back everything back to 1.19, the version of Alpine that we were using. We haven't got back to a steady state yet.
Okay, I will try to take a look into the build thing probably this afternoon or tomorrow to see if I can help you unlock that, and maybe we can make another round of tests, because by my side, I couldn't reproduce that. I have created a cluster here with 600 ingresses, objects, and a bunch of services, and I couldn't actually got that core dump. But as Elvin is properly the parent of the all of the implementation of Lua things and the dynamic reloading. So when I was kidding about, hey, Elvin knows what actually he's doing, is because he knows all of that code and all of that Lua internal. So we should probably try to sync with him after those tests and see if he can at least create some reproduction scenario with us, right?
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah, and by the way, I am also all thumbs up about moving from Alpine to Debian, or having 2 images built at least for making some tests. So I know that Raj is taking a look into that. I can provide some help. I just needed this weekend specifically. I needed to like take some time and sleep like 14 hours because I was pretty tired. But I'm gonna try to catch up with you and see how can I help with this build at least during this week.
Yeah, I think if we could just again diagnose it's the mainframe build. And I think if we have testing builds where we're testing out changes like this, if we could do something to exclude the mainframe build, that might be helpful, because we know, 9 times out of 10 when the build fails, it's the mainframe build. So if we're doing testing on things like this core dump stuff, where we just need a new image to test with, we probably should exclude the 390 build.
Yeah,
Short
probably
term.
one
It's a
thing
short
that
term fix.
we should probably think about that, and maybe removing mod security from mainframe build, unless folks from IBM they wanna sponsor that build and be responsible for that, right? Because I know that IBM has been they've been like the maintainers of that build, putting some exceptions into the like the S390
So would
modules, etc.
the changes that you're looking to implement and put mod security in a sidecar, would that also solve the build for mainframe as well?
Yeah, I think so, but I need to draw that, because I don't wanna start to complicate more our already complicated build process, right? So I need to figure out if building mod security as a full static library works for NGINX, or if we should think about another build process. I guess, yeah, mod security is already on version 3 on NGINX, but yeah, I need to sit down. That's been a while since I didn't mess it up with mod security, and I know that there are some details that we need to take care about when building and decoupling. So yeah, and I really want to take a look also at probably query events in the future, and give to users some alternative to web application firewall, or at least release a formulary asking for our users feedback about which features they use, because sometimes we are like spending a huge amount of effort to maintain something that's not used, right? So mod security, who uses that?
Yeah,
It's like 1% of the users, 10% of the users, 50% of the users. It makes difference for us to the amount
continue
of effort we
supporting it.
should
Agree.
Yeah, the same thing for the architectures.
Brian, is there anyone from the NGINX team do you think that could help with the mod security discussion?
Kind of as far as how many customers access it and whatnot. We do have some data around that, because it's an approved module from our perspective.
Okay. I think just trying to understand how, and I'm sure there's a committee on the Kubernetes project, just to understand how we could get the understanding of what features are being used and what are not. That's definitely something that I know that going forward, after the V1, fixing the V1 issues that we see, we've got to get an understanding of where we should focus on it from a community perspective. I mean, my biggest thing was just looking at the thumbs up feature requests, but we still have to continue to go through all of the 200 and some issues that we have. So continuing cleaning up and just stabilizing. All right. I guess we can go ahead and get started working through the triage, unless anyone has any other issues that we need to discuss before we get started. Let's go ahead and jump into the triaging. Rafael, you want to go ahead and get started? You want to discuss the issue that you have here, since we have you on the call?
Yeah, sure. So basically, this is the chart deploying a code to GKE that results in load balancer being created. And the problem here is that while it is expected for the load balancer frontend to listen on, for example, 80 and 443 ports, it listens on a range of ports, so 80 through 443. And the reason of this is because for public IP, a public GCP load balancer, TCP load balancer is being created. And the case here is that GKE cannot create this particular type of front-end forwarding IP, front-end IP, that allows a set of ports. It only allows a range of ports to be created. So basically, this is the issue. With the internal load balancer, the case, I mean, with the internal load balancer, this is not the problem because it allows for a set of ports to be created.
So this would be an issue with the external load balancer from GKE's perspective. That's something is configurable, or is it just something that we can't control from that perspective? What I'm trying to get at is this something that's inside the Ingress Helm charts power to fix, or is this something that we'll have to raise with the GCP team?
Quite honestly, I don't know. I didn't see any code that would control the type of load balancer being created by the chart. So my belief is that this would need to be discussed deeply with the GKE or GCP team. However, I cannot be certain because I don't really know the intricacies of the chart deep enough, at least.
Yeah, I don't think, because I know from the AWS perspective, it generates an NLB, but from a GCP perspective, I wouldn't know. Long or Ricardo, do you have any insight into this one? I don't have much GCP experience either, so I can't do too much help.
Experience. we can ping maybe someone from Google already on the upstream community. Usually Tim Hawking knows that answer, or like Rob Scott, Bowie may have the answer, but honestly, I have no answer for that.
Okay, might be helpful to just ask in the comments.
Like, excuse me, sorry, folks. We can think about adding something in the Helm chart, but we need to know how actually this needs to be created from the Kubernetes perspective, because this is actually how the load balancer object is created on the Kubernetes API, right? So I have no idea. Would need to read the documentation from GCP, sorry, and understand how this works. So what I can understand here is that it's not creating, it's creating a port range and not a load balancer with two ports, right?
Yeah, I guess for whatever load balancer we're asking it to create from an external perspective, we're using one that can do that can only do ranges instead of specific ports.
Yeah, I would need to take a look into the documentations from GCP, but maybe Google folks they have this answer for something else, or
one
we
more
should
hint,
probably
though,
make some labs. Yeah.
One more hint. At the moment when I was creating the ticket with you guys, GKE didn't have this issue documented. So there is a limitation with GKE-based load balancers that results in this exact issue occurring, and they didn't have this documented, and I asked them to document this one. I don't know whether they have already.
So this is, and that's why I asked that question to begin with. Is this a Ingress issue or is this a GKE issue? So it looks like we might need to validate it and see if that there is an issue. If there's an open issue, we can tag it here, and this will just have to be a wait until it gets prioritized from the GCP GKE community.
Yeah, but what I mean here is that at least when I was talking to GKE, they didn't, I mean GCP maybe, not GKE, they didn't consider this to be like an issue rather than the chart meeting a limitation of GKE, because it is a limitation and the limitation was not documented. That's what I'm trying to say here.
Gotcha. Okay. We've got that
The cool
documented
thing is
here.
that when you document an issue, it becomes a feature, right?
Like throwing a load balancer, you just open all the ports to the internet, right?
Yeah.
This is one of the, so we've got some notes here and we can follow up on that. This looks like to be one of the issues with V1. This is a new one to me. I haven't seen this one yet. The one I was thinking about was the backend response on kinds, but I think we've already talked about that, Ricardo, right? This is an older one. But I think when I read through this, that they had already tried it. Someone had already tried it on, yeah, 1.0, and it's still an issue.
What's the TLDR for this one?
Looks like it's just it's taking too long to get the new endpoints, and so it's getting 504s for a while until the AWS ELB idle timeout hits. So I'm just thinking it's just taking a while for them to register.
But is this like an AWS issue, or is this like an Ingress NGINX issue?
Well, they went from 33 and someone tested it on V1 and it was still an issue. So I don't know if this is a configuration. So you've got an ELB response here. It gave us the timeouts. I think somebody will have to replicate this to see if it's an issue.
Does someone in the call have some expertise on AWS and wants to try to reproduce this one? Okay. Assign that one to me, James. I can see if I can have.
You can't take them all. Is it help dash wanted?
What?
I can never remember. Is it help dash wanted?
Just help /help.
/help. Okay. We need somebody to be able to reproduce this as well.
Yeah.
But it's definitely it seems like it has been an issue for a while. You want to put this as on for long term, Ricardo, for someone to look at?
Yeah. Sounds like a priority, important long term.
I also noticed that he was increasing the client body. Oh, that's the timeout, not the actual size. Okay, I thought it might have something to do with the size. Okay. This is a feature request. As far as feature requests are coming along, Ricardo, I know we're looking at 101 and 102 already. Do we want to keep 101 and 102 to bug fixes for V1?
Yeah. I think that we should at least try to stabilize the performance and Ingress class madness with users, and then maybe think about features after that.
This is also a very old version.
At least I yeah. I'm sorry.
Sorry, yeah, this is also an old version, so I just need to go back because I know Noah was doing trying to do a bunch of cleanup for us on really old issues. Great flexibility on TCP UDP.
I think there is already support for TCP and UDP. What they are expecting is a config snippet, but for streams, right? We
It
can
also
do a slash
supports string
triage.
snippet. Yeah.
Yeah,
Triage.
we can do a slash triage accepted and put that as a backlog maybe, because it makes sense. But I honestly, I want to focus at least on this flow of version 1, and then start from my side. If someone want to pick this up and make a feature, the feature implementation for this thing, I really don't care, and I think it's gonna be good. But from my side, I want to focus on the version 1 stabilization.
Yeah, and I was just thinking that I know that we can set the bind address on specific ones, so I'm just trying to understand what. Oh, because it's a global setting. He wants to do it on, this person wants to do it per backend. Right? Because I know we can do bind addresses on at a global setting. Okay, this definitely is a feature.
Yeah.
Spelling would be helpful. Accepted. Problem with cert update. I've not read through this one yet. Also an older issue on 30. I think no, one of the big things was that he was also asking them to test it. This is I think one of the other issues with the admission controller for the certs.
Let me read. What's that? Oh, I like this story. Ingress NGINX was happily serving. Okay, which version is this? And
This one's
have
on
they tested
30.
on? Okay.
See if they.
Because I know that there was a bug on pest, but I don't know if this was fixed for the store to download new certificates.
Looks like
Right.
43, which is relatively new. Newer compared to 33. I know this isn't the first issue I've seen where we've talked about certs not being updated properly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to take a look into that. If at least I can have like a way to reproduce that as well. But I can take a look into that, or if someone knows a way to reproduce this, it's gonna be usually it's helpful when usually it's helpful when someone knows how to reproduce that, because then I it can spare me some time. So yeah, put that one
Just on the
maybe
host.
in version
It's,
1.1.0.2. Let me add this one into a version 1.0.2, so at least we may have this on the roadmap for the next one.
is it just milestone and then the version?
I don't know if
Yeah.
try version 1.0.2, but I don't know if the plugin is enabled or if I need to add this manually for now, but we should probably enable this.
I thought it was. I've seen it on a couple of the other issues.
Working? Was me doing manually.
Oh,
What's
was
the
you
number of
doing it
this one?
manual?
Yeah, I was like on a,
5411.
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna add manually and 1.0. I'm gonna add into 1.0, and if we can fix it into 1.0, I can do it in 1.0.2.
Okay. I did not get a chance to put the issue on that I was looking at over the weekend. It was not 7080. This was the that issue. They're removing a node and having the ingress address being changed.
Uh,
I was looking
the
at
stat-
that. When
status
we
field?
change the stat, yeah, the ingress status. I don't think it was the question of what he was looking at, because I removed the sorry, pulled up my another browser. When I was testing this one over the weekend, the logic in there, the controller always removes, when it does a shutdown, it removes the status of that NGINX service that's being shut down. That's part of the shutdown process in the loop, is to remove it from the ingress status. So just trying to figure it out and removing the pod hash like they've asked, that doesn't make any difference because that it's still going to remove it anywhere. So I think this is a timing issue. Should we bring up the new replica before we do a shutdown? Because I tried doing as part of this refactor, when we remove the labels, I've changed it so that it removes the template hash and it still happens. It still removes it. And I was doing some more investigation. It's part of the shutdown process when it gets that shutdown signal. So I think it's really a timing issue.
Yeah.
And that 30 seconds, again, that seems to be, again, another timing issue around waiting for the pod to come up and be ready and the leader election. I think before we we're going to have to, before we do the shutdown signal on the old replica set, when we do a deployment, we have to wait for the other ones to come up.
Or maybe add the leader release. I don't know if we are doing already
part
the
of the
leader
shutdown?
release. Yeah.
I don't
But I
think
think
so
that
either.
there is an option that we can move the leader election from the config map to a leader object, and we can do a leader release. So at least we may know that, okay, this was like if this was a graceful shutdown and not like a CQ, we are gonna let Kubernetes know that we are releasing the leader for other deployment, for example, right?
Yeah. Okay, just wanted to make sure that we covered that. That can be something that I can look into because I'm still assigned out to that one. And I'll look to see when we actually do the leader release or if it's just we're letting the new replica set take over. So we can add that to the shutdown process and I can test it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another old one as well. What was his request on here? Oh, feature request needs priority.
Yeah, I want to see a scenario for this one, actually. Like if someone wanna like demonstrate the difference of behaviors, because no one actually gathered at this one, right? So no.
Oh, so this is a new feature request.
Okay. Can we maybe skip the feature requests?
Yeah, I was just going off of the list that Noah had gathered
Yeah.
for us. Do you want to go
Yeah.
just go straight to the GitHub issues?
I am all up to adding the label for feature requests so we can know what we need to implement, really. But I would like at least like the next month we've made a huge change, and I think that we should be probably looking in my opinion, okay folks, that's we should probably be looking more into the bugs instead of the features, just for this specific cycle.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is my opinion. No, yeah, I'm not
Oh, I
wanting to
don't
be.
disagree. I was just going off of the issues that Noah, he had been doing a very good job for us, has been looking at the older issues and trying to bring them to our attention. So I was just making sure we go through his list. But
Yeah. No,
right off the
I agree with
bat,
that.
right off the bat, looks like we've got a new one as of yesterday or this
Yay.
morning.
Yay.
I think it, yeah, it goes back to the same issue that we're having with kind, the Ingress class name.
Oh, okay. Okay, this one probably was me being too lazy. But I am not against we re-adding the Ingress class name for this.
So we just leave the
Okay.
option there, but we're not using it we're not actually using it.
This is the same as Laszlo issue, right? Where we should probably say that we are using the old Ingress class behavior instead of using the new one, right?
So we're not allowed. So with the new change, and I apologize, I still don't have my head wrapped around what the changes
Yeah, no
actually
worries.
impacted.
Let me.
But with the new changes,
Go ahead.
they can't change the name of the Ingress class that they're using.
I thought they could. Let me see here.
Because that's what it looks like this bug is saying is, I guess he's changed the name of the Ingress class.
Controller Ingress class. Yeah, the name is configurable. That's a value line here. I'm gonna send you on Zoom
Okay.
here.
Looks like Long was discussing this as well with him.
But I need to probably take a look with you into the kind one and see if this is the same thing, because the name is actually configurable. What's not, actually everything is configurable. From the Helm chart, I can see that everything is configurable, right? So yeah.
I was definitely able to replicate the kind issue.
Okay.
I got a 404 on the back end, even though that the services existed and they worked internal to the cluster.
Okay. We should. I want to see that probably this week as well. If you have some time, we can.
The issue you're looking at now, which is closed, that was successfully closed just by using values and renaming the class and controller and all that.
Can they do that from a deployment though? Because it looks like this person was trying to do it from the deployment in 4.0.
Yeah, so we have to document how for him to rename that, those values.
Okay. I'll leave this one to you then, Long, to work with him, see what he comes up with, if he's able to make those changes.
Okay.
I wouldn't consider documentation a bug. Losing connections on a back-end reload.
Yeah, this one and the similar ones, all talking about performance from reload.
You're cutting out, Long. I can barely hear you. No.
Now is better.
A little better, yeah.
Okay. How about now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is a lot. I was just saying there is a lot of there are several issues that talk about performance. So this one is talking about losing connections on backend reload, and the ones that you were trying to fix with Elvin to build a new image. There is a bunch of issues. There are several issues where they have talked about the same thing, having a lot of ingresses, And that's what Ricardo said, that he's not able to reproduce. I think the only additional information we have as of now is on one of those PRs, one user said that in production they had a fairly large number of ingresses, but in development they had like a humongous compared to the production, and that was a problem all the way since May 46. But in V49 they have had stability for at least 2 days on the day he commented, with the same humongous number of ingresses. So the relation being reload or crash dump, seg faulting, crash dump, whatever, all of those, all coming revolving around large number of ingresses or reloads. That's one comment which we have to confirm what he meant, and is it still stable?
Looks like adding a startup probe helps the issue.
Right.
Actually, the startup probe, they have added that, so they wait until the ingress is properly ready, right? Probably it takes like 10 seconds or more to reconcile that huge amount of data.
Generating the NGINX config with all of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah. I was thinking actually about splitting the NGINX configuration files, but I remember, I guess folks from NGINX, they have said on past that in this meeting that splitting the files wouldn't improve the performance side, right?
Yeah. So I'm guessing start adding a startup probe before we actually start trying to serve traffic from it.
Yeah, but this is a workaround. The real problem is how can we not only generate the file, but when we have to regenerate the NGINX configuration template, we don't have this kind of downtime, right? So those downtime, I guess that they happen not when you add or remove an endpoint, but they happen when you add or remove a new virtual host, because you actually need to tell in NGINX that you are serving that new virtual host, right? So
Yes.
when you change the NGINX configuration, it needs to reload NGINX. So if you have a bunch of users with like 3,000 ingresses objects, and each of these ingresses objects, they got their own virtual host, for example, you will have reloads every time someone changes something that's related not to the endpoint, but with a configuration or something like that. You have like everything, all of the NGINX configuration file being regenerated again and being reloaded, right? So maybe one solution that we could discuss is it's the same approach that I know that HA Proxy they do, which is they have a front end that accepts everything, and from that front end they send the traffic via, for example, a Unix socket to the backend, right? So you don't have all of the reloads, and the same backend is running on the same NGINX instance, and from that send to the endpoints. But this would be a really big refactoring.
Yeah, that sounds like a major defect.
Yeah, that we should probably stop and think and draw and say, hey, we can improve this way and reduce the downtime. But I don't think that right now we have a solution other than maybe trying to improve the performance or adding something else that can consolidate all of the configurations in some place, right?
Yeah.
Long, I think that you are muted and you are looking like Darth Vader breathing on the microphone.
I'm gonna go ahead, since we know that we've had issues in the past with these reloads. I'm gonna accept the triage and set it to important long term.
Elvin is also the best person to discuss about that because he knows. Actually, I think that we have this documented when reloads they happens, but we need to probably improve those reloads as well, right?
Ricardo, when were you working on a Go-based reloading of the config file?
Working on what? Sorry.
Doing the reloading of the config and managing the configuration in Go. I think there was an issue. Were you doing that, or was somebody else doing that?
Was somebody else that was actually working on rewriting the template generation from shell script to Go, and that reduced the reloading. Actually, the template generation like for 85% of time was shell script, and they have migrated to Go. But still, it generates like a huge file, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to change. Okay, so we've got about 8 minutes left. I know I've got a couple things to follow up. So I'll follow up with Alvin on the testing that we were doing for the core dump issue, and then we can discuss his thoughts on the optimizing for the reloads with some of the other issues that we've seen. And then I'll take on following up with and seeing if there's an issue with the GCP GKE. And I'll continue looking at the status changes to the shutdown as well. Is there anything else? Oh, and the steering committee stuff. So we've got about 3 or 4 action items from this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna if someone is interested in, I'm gonna work on issues and pull requests for version 101, and they are on the milestone version 101. But I need some help, folks, because I am not having enough time for that. So if you go to milestone, go back. Yeah, or that we have this the fix that for the permission level that I think there are someone is working on that I need to review, but we still have some stuff that should be worked. So even reviewing PRs or triaging the issues for 101 and helping reproducing. So I just need some help, because I wanted at least to make to give a response for the community that we are fixing the bugs that they are finding. We are not like giving no attention for that. So just if you can, just please prioritize the version 101 with me. Take a look, test, take a look into the PRs and what they do, recompile, run in your own environment, and say, yeah, hey, this generates impact or not. So let's move forward with that. Okay.
Yeah, I can take part in that, Ricardo.
Great, thank you.
Yes, I also want to take part, but I would need some hand holding a little bit as a new contributor.
Yeah, I can help you.
Cool.
Long.
Awesome. Well, I'm just writing up what the action items are, make sure that they're a little bit more clear. Unless we have anything else to discuss, I think that's it for this week.
Okay. And we have an action item for tomorrow, maybe you and me with that kind one, right? I want to take a look into that on the start turn 90. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna try to finish my day my day job things and work with that with you tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. Gotcha. I can get fired.
No, we don't want to get you fired.
Okay. All right, folks.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a nice week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.